Hey, Spring. Are you ready to data?
Yeah, let's data.
Awesome. So, I am Allison Holmes, developmental psychologist by training, philanthropic funder by day, researcher and evaluator at heart, author by passion, and data enthusiast in my soul.
And I am T'Pring Westbrook, and I need to apologize because we already recorded this, and we're now recording it again because I completely lost the first one. Don't know where it is. So I am a researcher and an educator and an author and a podcaster and a lover of all things data, but I also am absent-minded and lose things a lot. So
It's real. This is the realness of what life looks like. And also, it's a nice little connection into some of our data stuff, because who has not had a data experience where you're either entering information, trying to find information, and it's just not there. It's just not working for you. This is very real. This is part of what life looks like. And I think it's also pretty familiar to any person who has been on this planet for more than 5 minutes, because we are all in technology and data. So, T'Pring, I think you're in good company, is the moral of that story.
And I think it immediately lets anyone who's listening in know that we have no, we have no illusions or delusions about our own perception and expertise and perspective, because it means nothing. We're just people. We're just peopling.
Just doing all the people stuff like that. That is what we do. But in the spirit of peopling, this is the true invitation for everyone to come and people with us as we dive into the data. T'Pring, apparently we're talking about data. What does this mean? And we're surrounded by data party, but what is that actually about? Why are we really here?
Let's explain a little bit. Until people get used to us, they'll have to understand, why are we doing this? So if you haven't gotten the book, you will see that we first put ourselves into the context of why we're doing this. So this isn't a data lecture. This isn't a data test. This isn't data authoritarianism. This is a party. This is data party. And the reason I think it comes off that way, and the reason that I think that we really grasp that kind of concept, and a data party, to be sure, is not a phrase we made up, but it's what we're endorsing.
Right.
The thing about a data party is it's collaborative. There is no hierarchical structure or anything crazy like that. It tries to be as fun as possible. It can break the rules. It can go outside the box. A data party can evolve to fit its need. It can be small, it can be big, it can be rowdy, it can be quiet. That's what we're trying to get. This is something that's both event and also commonplace, right?
Yeah.
Like a birthday party, right?
Right. And it's in addition to whatever party might trigger for you in a good way and maybe in a bad way. I mean, it can do all of the things. But like you were saying, T'Pring, that idea of a data party, which is a full event in and of itself, documented in literature, it's meaningful, right? This has meaning for people. It is not going through motions randomly and without purpose. It is really meaningful to everyone that is there. And that, I think, really strikes a chord with some of our goals.
So why are we the hosts of data parties? So let's start. We are applied scientists. We're applied researchers, which means that we have our content, which where our content overlaps is early childhood and developmental studies. So those are the two big academic slots in the most broad definition. I mean, we can go through the weeds, but I think broadly speaking, we are both early childhood developmentalists. We were interested not just in the theories and what happens in the lab, which is absolutely fascinating, and love to read about it, love to hear about it, go to presentations about it, and everything on that level. But we wanted to take what we were learning and by we, not just the two of us, but what the field was learning in the research literature, we wanted to take that and hand it to the people who are actually doing the work. That crossover is a bridge. That is what translation is. When they talk about translating research into practice, that is exactly how we saw it. We're like, okay, this research tells us this is a good path to follow. How does that look on the ground? How does it withstand the messiness, and how can it work into the already existing funding structures, licensing structures, whatever? There's an existing infrastructure that this new idea or variation of an idea needs to fit into. And that's where we come in. That's what we really like. Going the opposite direction, we like to hear what practitioners, programmers, policymakers, all the non-researchers, what they want research to teach them. What questions do they have that they're wondering how to get at the answer? And then we like to, in different phases of our careers, take that information and translate it to the researchers and say, okay, people are looking for, they're seeing that their evidence-based programs aren't working, their quote-unquote off-the-shelf programs don't work off the shelf. What can we teach? What can we learn about adaptations? What can we learn about minimum requirements for impact? All these kinds of things.
Yeah. And I think like the kind of the underlying theme that folks might be picking up on is we are in the mess of all of this. There is nothing like super clean and like rigidly steps 1, 2, and 3. No. We are sitting in the messy mess of research, evaluation, learning by doing that translation and connection. There's a lot of squishiness and ambiguity, and like we swim in that. Like that is such a big thing. And as we were swimming in all of the ambiguity, like we have clear questions, and we had such a great question that came up, and it was an echo of previous questions before, but how am I supposed to be using this data? Like, where does this sit? And when we had that question, which is so clear, and like, what a great question, like, love that. There was not a clear answer, right? And because we are researchers, we put our researcher hat on. We're like, let's go to all of the potential sources. And there wasn't an answer. So when we go to like data science, and when we go to vendors who are selling data systems, right? Like the application and how we're using this, the answer wasn't there. When we go to, again, we're trained as researchers and evaluators. We're familiar with our training, but we checked other places too, just to make sure we covered that base. And the answer wasn't fully there either. And then we've sat in a funder's seat, and we're like, oh, well, we'll just fill this gap. We'll pay for it. But that actually isn't the full answer, because there's not enough dollars to go to all of the places. And we know that this is like a common question that's coming up. And then later we even look to see, oh, well, wait a second. There's an entire professional training related to nonprofits. So like it's got to be there. Also no. Also not there.
Spoiler alert.
not there. So really, we had kind of mapped out a lot of this ecosystem, and when we have, these amazing partners coming forward and saying, "Hey, I am really interested in, doing this kind of evaluation or learning about this, but I don't know how to make some of this happen," or maybe that I don't know how to make some of this happen comes as a result of trying to engage in research and evaluation, because again, that's where we're the hat that we wear and where we come in a lot. And we're like, well, who has this? There's clearly, this gap of information. And at the end of the day, what we ended up doing was started to compile a little bit of what are those, what we started to refer to as like step 0 before others in the ecosystem were getting to a step 1, and starting to compile all of that together in engaging with partners in the nonprofit world. But the moral of the story is this is a continuation of how we were trained, of the ambiguity and the messiness, and that it's not straightforward because it intersects with so many different pieces across that. But we just swim in it. And so here we
And let us say this at the near start. Would have been the start, but again, apologies. I lost the episode, so we're doing it. Allison and I, we're kind of sarcastic. We can wallow in gallows humor for a good while. Very comfortable in that space, and we also use hyperbole sometimes for effect. I say all that to say, when we're thinking in general, there is actually an assumption that everyone's trying to do the right thing. We're going to hear us on this podcast trash researchers. we're gonna trash funders. We're gonna trash.
That's a little extreme.
I'm gonna trash. Look, I'm gonna be honest. No, because I do for effect. If I'm trying to make a point, and I'm just calling myself out on this now, so that don't get lots of the questions about it later, I will say like the decisions I just made, they're trash. I obviously don't believe that. I'm a researcher. I've been a researcher. I've been a funder. I've been a practitioner. I've been a programmer. I've been these things, and I know that in my most earnest, pure motivation, I have made mistakes. I have made false assumptions. Somebody somewhere has lumped me in the bucket of trash. So I just want to make that clear. Like, a lot of these disconnects are about miscommunications and not understanding. And so, in a 30-minute podcast to make effect, we might make some like really big slashes with no nuance. Just understand that we are talking about particular issues. So if we say if we say policymakers don't like to read policy briefs, that's a general concept. It's a general, what do I want to call it? It is a general belief within the sector. You have to write a brief in a certain way if you're writing it for a policy person versus writing it for a researcher versus writing it for like a practitioner who's going to put it into practice. By saying that doesn't mean that any one person can't do what the other person is doing. It is really about the situation. So just understand that if we're saying this is where someone is falling short or some area is falling short, it's not because we think the area, like we just mentioned, data scientists. We don't think data scientists, and actually this is a good place to start. We don't think data scientists don't care about nonprofits. We don't think that they are just doing cash grabs. We don't think any of those things. We think they come from one world and nonprofits are in a different world and they're just talking past each other. And so that's why we're really, in the same way that we try to help with the translation and the making that bridge, we also try to help each side by helping them communicate. So like when we're working with practitioners, for example, we might say, what does your program need? And we'll say, don't try to put it in research words. Just tell me what you actually need. And then we can do that translation. And so part of what we're always trying to do is to get people to feel very confident that they know what they need, and that language and jargon is the only barrier. And it's an easy barrier. It takes a little extra work, takes a couple of iterations sometimes, but we assume that people are doing what they think is right, and that they're doing whatever community, spoken using that word as broadly as you can think about it, whatever community, whatever audience they are approaching, we assume they're doing that in good faith. So I just wanted to say that, because we're going to get, I'm not going to speak for Allison, although I've read the book, and there's a little spice in the book. But this is also a good time to plug that we're also launching a Patreon. The Patreon is where we might get a little looser with our tongues. We don't know what's gonna happen. That's just that way. We're gonna say things, but we'll have the time to be more nuanced, more of a deep dive, more in the weeds, because the assumption is if you're supporting the Patreon, you're already invested in the conversation, and you want to really hear beyond what's on the pages of the book or what you might hear if we did a presentation at a conference. You want to hear the conversation we have in the car after the conference when we're all driving to the airport. Like that's what you want when you're on Patreon.
Yeah. And those are always amazing conversations. Like the conversation when you wrap up the site visit, when you finish that presentation, like all of those things, no matter what role you play, the car debrief, that's where it's at. Yeah.
After hours. After the party, it's the hotel lobby, and sorry.
Why would we want to go deeper on some of these things? Because the topic is vast. It is incredibly pervasive, and there is so much that we can't cover all of it in this podcast. So that's part of that purpose, and it's just really underscoring how foundational and critical data is in the nonprofit space. Because if it was not that critical, if this was not such a core aspect of work, we wouldn't need all of that additional space. You could just read the book. You could just come and listen to these, little party bites of additional things in the podcast. But that's not what it is. That's not where we are. Like, data is so core and fundamental that paradigm, and thinking that people held that this is just a luxury. When I have extra time and extra money, then we're gonna really dig into this. That ship has sailed. Like, we are so long past that. And so that's part of why we really want to have this space, and again, motivation for why we put the book together. But it's just acknowledging we're not in luxury good aisle conversation. Like, we are at basic necessities, meeting fundamental needs, and that is how data and capacity and strategy work within nonprofits, which is like every other sector. But we're going to acknowledge some of those differences that, are different versus like a public or a corporate sector that we see in the nonprofit space.
And we might want to ease this up, because clearly we're upsetting Egg, because we can...
Oh. Yeah, well, that time I was at, yes. So as everyone will learn, I have 3 cats, and they are always very excited when the ring light comes out for various meetings. They're like, oh, thank you for that spotlight. It is my time to shine. And so you will see, you will get to meet Egg, because she usually likes to be right in front of the camera, and now you get to hear a little bit of Nog. Nog is she's one of the hunters, and so she wants to make sure. She's like, "Oh, Mama, you're sitting down. Let me bring you a little treat. Let me go get one of my toys and bring that to you because I am such a good hunter." So, yes, always
Well,
something.
just for continuity, you said you had 3 cats:
Yes.
Egg, Nog,
And Glacier Nutmeg, whose nickname is now Bobcat because she eats everything and she's big, like a bobcat. So, yes, you will get to meet all the kitties: Egg, Nog, and Glacier. So,
Wonderful.
yes.
Well, back to the data.
Back to data. Here we go.
Here we go. So, absolutely, the main, I want to make 2 points, and I'm actually going to write them down. The idea of, hold on. See, that's what I'm saying. Oh, did I forget the second one already? Dang it.
No.
Hold on. And I don't know. I think I forgot the second. I'm so laughing because Maintenance Phase is a wonderful podcast that I listen to. It's a non-scientific podcast that uses data really well. But that's not the point. The point is both of the hosts are over 40, and I recently listened to one of their podcasts where they're like, after 40, you never say, first of all, because you will forget second of all. So I was going to try to write down my notes, but I only remember one. Hopefully the second one will come to me. I was like, oh, I got it. I got the second one. I'm going to write it down. Okay. Okay. So my first thing was, first of all, data is definitely not a luxury. I mean, it's information, and that's something we go over so much in anytime we're talking about data. Data is just a fancy word for information. And if you have information, then you have data. We say all the time, if you are like a Head Start teacher and you're like, oh, I don't know the data, but you know that you have 10 kids in your class, 7 of them are boys, 3 of them are girls, 2 of them come from homes that are led by single fathers, and 2 of them their parents are having trouble finding a place to live. That's a lot of data.
That's so much data. Yes.
That is so much data. And
it's useful data. It's not random data. Like, that is useful information, like, for that teacher, for that center administrator. So many things.
Yes.
So, yes.
If you have information and if you value that information, then you are ready to talk about data and quality data. Like, you're ready to do that, right? And yes, if knowing that little scenario I just threw out there, if that helps you determine, all right, so for today, the way I'm going to run the class is XYZ. Today, the book that I'm going to read for them is, I'm going to read a book about single fathers because I know that some of my kids are, now you're into data decision making, data-driven decision making. And Allison and I, honor that, we appreciate that, we value that. We think the fact that when researchers come in, the first thing they should be doing is sitting down with you and saying, what do you know already? There's a problem sometimes, and it's like, well, what are your variables? Or that somebody comes in with the wrong language. But you are the expert. You know everything. You're going to tell me which questions are really relevant to your work. What is the stuff that you think makes it work? What is the stuff that you think is critical? Like, all of that is coming from a practitioner. And I'm using teacher specifically instead of saying a board member or a director or manager, whatever, because another one of our points is everyone who touches your organization is part of your data team. Like from the person who they fill out their own, let's go all the way from furthest away we can get from a high earning CEO, high school volunteer, fills out paperwork and tells you where you're getting your volunteers, tells you which activities are drawing back volunteers, helps you make budgeting decisions. Hey, you know what? This one seems to really work well with such and such high school. There's a class there that lines up with what we're doing. We can create a relationship. Do you see how this can, one piece of information drives so much? And we really want people to understand and to understand and value themselves in the same way that we understand and value organizational data.
Yeah. No, I love that you're saying that, because it's starting to bring up the piece, one, because we're going to keep repeating it, like that data is information, so 100%. And that data has a deeply human element. And that this is something we will continue to talk about, and folks would even get like, oh my gosh, we got it, but no, like we're gonna keep saying it, because it is something that gets lost. And I think that example that you gave, to bring, is a really nice way to illustrate that, of connecting people who are both providing information and that's exactly how this exists. Like, the information is there, but people are providing it. There is a deeply human element to this, and how that information is used, right? Where connecting those dots, that is still all very, very human. And we have to acknowledge the humanity of all of that, like who that information is, all of those pieces, as well as how it moves about within an organization. That at the core of all of this are actually people, right? Like, sometimes we might call to mind data in a way that feels really dehumanizing, right? And that it's very disconnected. So because of that, like, we're just acknowledging the world that we live in and how everything happens. But data is an information, has a core human and person-centered element. And I think that's an opportunity, just like you were saying, for people to feel confident in what they're doing, because you are connected to this, you are part of this. For you to feel empowered for what you're able to use with that, because we know that there is, in the use of information, and even in gathering some of that information, there are ways that you can exercise agency and power. So to name that, to see that, but that's part of that human experience. It doesn't matter what you paint, right? You can get into dashboard mode. You can use whatever technology tools you want. I mean, you can create an infographic, like what? But underneath all of that are all of the people who are circling around this information. And like that's nothing that we can get away from. Now, at the same time, though, we are also living in this world where, just saying again that like data is so critical, it is a form of currency. It is a language of communicating across. And just like we said at the beginning of all of this, seeing ourselves as part of some of this translation, but data is part of that language that is there, which is why it just feels even more important for everyone to be connected to it in order to use that power, to use that language, because of what it is going to be doing out in the world, whether you like it or not. Like, that's just how it is. The requests that you're going to get, like what you're trying to share with other people, that is all a form of communication. And right now, that data is a part of that. Information is a part of that. And so what would it mean to recognize that and to sharpen how you feel your practices individually as well as an organization, recognizing that context. Yeah.
I wrote down second of all, so I'm going to go to second of all.
Awesome.
Second of all, what you're going to, what we're doing with the products, the Data Party book, the Data Party podcast, and the Data Party Patreon, is we're essentially taking about 10 years of presentations, technical assistance, study, research, development, and we're putting it all in one place. So as Allison and I were doing our jobs, and this, again, I don't care if you have a data contract or not, you have a data contract, because, so we were going around doing this, and the same questions were coming up, and the same concerns over and over again. And then Allison and I found ourselves kind of giving the same responses, and not like as a kind of pat response, but more as yeah, we've seen this problem, and this is how we've seen people work through it, right? So in a way, this is, Allison was we're talking about like the Patreon is in the car. So basically, it's kind of like the book is the paper, the podcast is the presentation, and Patreon is the hundreds of conversations we have in hallways after we're done talking and people pull us aside. Like that's all the whatever. So it's actually, and Allison and our intention, our motivation when we did this, when we just started with the idea of writing the book was, seems to be helpful information. We want as many people to have it as possible. How do we do this? And by that time, we had learned a lot about the language we use, because we're saying we were doing all this, but again, it was being informed by what we were receiving and being iterated upon and revised and all of that. So we feel confident about the things we're saying only because they have been checked and rechecked and rechecked and rechecked. And one of the reasons why our comments, we really are going to ask people all the time, hey, step into the comments, tell us things. And in Patreon, hey, let's have a conversation, because again, that's where we start. What do the organizations who are quote unquote doing the work, quote unquote on the ground, pick your phrase, what do they need, and what can we in our position as researchers with our networks, with everything, how can we inform that question? So we really want this to be, as much as possible, we want this to be a conversation.
Yeah, so much of a conversation, and that the conversation, just to underscore part of what you're saying there, Tippering, the conversation isn't necessarily between us or between us and folks doing the work. Like, we keep that, like, that's just part of, how we're continuing to process the world. But so much of we see is the conversation amongst each other, like all of the folks who are out there, and being able to say, like, yes, this is a space for you to come together and have these data conversations. And because again, we're just translating, we're just connecting a couple dots. Everything is really held by you out there doing the work. And we're just connecting. We are just your party planners. We are translating. We are connecting. But it is just to bring folks together around these things, like you said, that we kept seeing. So it's one thing for us to say, like, oh my gosh, I've totally seen that you're not alone in that. Here's what this other organization did. May or may not be the solution for you. Let's work through what a solution is for you. But to have the space for everyone to be able to share that, like, you don't need that translator for that conversation. There are other things that we can support in translating and doing the party planning. Yeah.
We are definitely trying to work ourselves out of a job. Like, we definitely would love
Amen.
if we didn't have to do this because everyone knew it already and everyone had a grasp on it. That's our goal. That's our goal. All right, Allison.
All right, wait, can we?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No. Great. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna wrap us up.
Yeah. No. I think we did. I think we did cover it. Yeah. We've got all of our main points. Folks know who we are.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. Hi.
Hello. Little bit of why we're here and where we're trying to go with all of this. And I think those, and also what their role is, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a passive role.
This is not passive. No. I mean, like, listen, but then, like, yes, come, do, explore, connect, like, all of those. Like, we can't do that. And that's not our job. That's not us. That's you.
That's you. That's
you. Yes.
All right. So this has been great. I hope that this kind of gives you a good idea of what our vibe is and also what we're trying to accomplish. So that when you step in the conversation, you're stepping in, like Allison said, knowing your role, and also don't show up begrudgingly. Like, if you imagine, Allison and I have done this over and over and over and over and over again, so we are really open to amusing ourselves. So. And being amused by others. So, yes,
and we're having fun, actually. Like, this is fun for us. And so that's why it's an invitation to come enjoy and come have fun with us. Like,
and we're very self-aware people. I was listening on audiobook. I was listening to the book The Body by Bill Bryson. And I have no recommendations for the book. I was enjoying it as a book, but whatever. But I was so aware after a while of how statistically, how data dense the book was and how much I was enjoying that but I think the growth that Allison and I had over the years from starting in grad school together to writing this book is that, not everyone finds that as fascinating as we do. So we know that. We know that it's okay.
Yeah.
If you're into data,
at the same time, like, we fully, like, hold the data nerd cards, like, swipe it routinely, like, show it proudly.
Absolutely.
So, like, both of those are true.
both of those are true.
Both of those are true at the same time. So, yes.
Just wanted to make sure we were transparent about our nerdiness. I hope you see us for who we are. All right. All right.
We'll get little tags. This is what a nerd looks like. Come join us.
I love it. All right. So, peoples out there, I hope you are getting excited about the journey we're going to go on. We really, like I said, we really want to have some fun, but we also really want to, as the social sector is kind of reshaping itself and restructuring, we really want to make sure that we as a sector gain control over our data, that we own our data, and that we use our data as currency to leverage, to get what our families, our communities, our businesses, whomever, to get them what they need.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right. And